Number one. No, they're not. They're number one in Jerry Jones' heart because they're the number 2 seed. They would hold on to it with a win in Washington. Here's Jerry Jones, courtesy of 105.3 The Fan. It's so exciting to no end. I just couldn't believe it when Philadelphia ended up losing that ball game this weekend and gave us this opportunity. Nick, how dangerous are the 2-seeded Cowboys that they're not necessarily locked into?
Wildly dangerous. And this is, I think, something we all agree on. In the NFC, who's the best team?
The 49ers.
San Fran.
Nope.
Looks like the
Dallas at home. Dallas at home has been the best team in the NFC
like
this
to
year.
see. Yeah,
Again, now if they were to play San Fran, Brew, it wouldn't matter. They'd have to be in San Francisco. But the Cowboys' first real hurdle is, S-Bob or not, their first real hurdle is getting to the opportunity to get to the Super Bowl, which they haven't had in 28 years.
Okay.
Getting to the conference championship game. And Dallas, we can show you what they've been at home this year, which is a juggernaut. The NFL ranked number 1 in everything.
What?
Go ahead, Wild.
I'm not saying anything.
No,
I'm not saying.
I know what you're
it.
hinting
I'm not
at,
saying.
Wild.
Well, I'm not saying. I didn't say it.
You're hinting at.
Yeah.
What are you hinting at?
Well, I don't
he's
know
loaded up.
exactly, but a lot of those teams that they beaten at home are tomato cans.
Okay, but here's the thing,
Except
guys.
Detroit, which they edged.
And
That's a good
Philadelphia,
win.
who they rocked.
Okay, Philadelphia who's struggling.
Right, but guys,
Having
these
their
are
issues.
teams that again, this is where I think my and some other people's frustration grows. To get to the NFC title game, who are they going to have to play? Teams that you guys evidently consider tomato cans.
No, not in the playoffs.
Okay, Detroit is a possible team they would have to beat. Philadelphia is a possible team they would have to beat.
You said they're the best team in football at home. They didn't look like that against Detroit.
Okay,
now they won. Give them credit.
They won. They beat Philly at home. They beat the Rams, who they might have to face. They beat Seattle, who they might have to face. What do all those teams have in common? They are NFC playoff teams.
Well,
so what are we talking about?
Nobody's arguing. I agree with you. They are more dangerous to reach what I guess is the goal.
No, I'm
the
starting
NFC
it there.
title game is the goal for some people.
No.
I mean, I don't want to rain on the Cowboys parade. All right, who am I? I'm just a guy from the Midwest that remembers when it was about Super Bowls for the Cowboys. All right, so if we want to get excited and dance and sing about getting to the NFC title game, then I agree with you, Nick. They are more of a threat to get to the NFC title game because they have home field. We know they struggle on the road. I will say this, though, Nick, and I think you'll agree. Detroit, I gained a little more respect. I think you respected them more than I did going into that game.
Yeah.
Detroit, assuming that's who Dallas meets in the second round.
It's not a walkover.
No. I mean, Detroit, forget the call by the official on the 2-point conversion or whatever you want to call it. Detroit, it can be argued, outplayed Dallas. They had more total yards. They had more first downs. They had a better time of possession. They had more sacks. They had more trips to the red zone. Yeah. But for that 92, which was a great play by Dak and CD.
Also a broken play.
But for that broken play, Dallas had the great drive at the beginning of the fourth quarter to take the lead, and that 92-yard touchdown.
And that also was not a broken play.
Outside of that,
it was a weird play from the Lions defense when they were playing flag football. Troy
I mean, Dak,
I've seen better tackling in flag football.
Right, but it was poor form tackling, but it also took a great play by Dak to not only avoid it, but then make a perfect throw.
But we're talking about one great play and one great drive in the fourth quarter. Outside of that, they didn't get much
except
going.
We're also talking about the fact that, again, they one of their best drives of the game, they came as close to scoring as you can without scoring, and I wouldn't normally bring that up, but you guys are talking about this game as if they had lost it. And if we want to parse the bad calls, we can say the reason Detroit even ever got the ball at the end was a terrible tripping call which is correct.
True.
A terrible tripping call. Dallas would have been taking knees and we wouldn't have talked about any of this. We also know that, right or wrong, Dan Campbell felt so unconfident, in his team's evidently ability to beat them in overtime that he's going for 2 from the 7-yard line. Whatever it is.
I didn't agree with his decision. I don't think it was as bad as you said. You're saying it's one of the worst calls ever. I don't agree with that. I would have kicked the extra point. But I also think he was like, look, we're on the road. We've got our division sewn up. I get it. They could play for seeding. But he's like, let's take our chances in regulation rather than going into overtime when they're
Which
at
I
home.
think you don't normally do if you are confident you're the better team. And so maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was fine on the first one, but but not so much on the second one. But I do think that because the Niners, to their credit, worked Dallas in the regular season this year, we misremember a bit how close the playoff game last year in San Francisco was between these two teams.
Yep.
And in my opinion, the biggest reason the Cowboys lost that game was because Purdy, to his credit, while I didn't think he played well in that game, didn't turn the ball over, and Dak, to his discredit, did. And if there's anything we can say about Dak this year, is he has gotten back to who he had been every year of his career prior to this year.
He's the best. He's the best he's ever been.
1,000% agree with you. It's the best he's ever played, and the bugaboo of turnovers, while, again, he turned the ball over a bunch in the Niners game in the regular season, he has cleaned that up this year. So the Cowboys, I was trying to impress this point on the audience on Monday, I think the difference between the 2 and the 5 is so overwhelming, and because it sets it up to where they can't have to play the Niners until the NFC Championship game, and we're a lot of football away from that, as opposed to if you're the 5, you probably have to play them
in the second
when they're coming off a bye, rested and as healthy as they can be.
That part is huge. I think look, Philly obviously is in much better shape if they had get the 2 seed. But for Dallas, I think it's even more important for Dallas than it would have been for Philly because of the discrepancy in home and road.
Exactly right.
Cowboys are favored by about 2 touchdowns in Washington Sunday at 4 on Fox. Commanders just lost by 17 to the 49ers. So we could be seeing a repeat performance or not, since San Francisco is 7-2 on the road and the Cowboys are 3-5. So, upset alert?
No, listen. I understand that 1/3 of this desk had the Commanders making the playoffs, so they still hold a special place in your heart. Thank you, Brew, for pointing it out.
That was the third.
Here's the reality: since week 3, this is the worst team in football, worse than Carolina. Since week 3, this has been the worst team in the NFL. The last time they played the Cowboys, they lost 45-10.
Yep.
I think Jacoby Brissett is a starting quarterback in this league. Now, I don't think he's a high-level starter. It's like the way...
I think Howell's going, though.
Exactly right. That's the point I was about to make. That if you had Jacoby Brissett, who is trying to, audition for teams out there, and maybe there's an overlook factor, and you could maybe convince me that there's a chance that the Cowboys spit this one up. 0%.
There's no chance?
0%.
Can I ask a question? Just jump in?
Yeah.
Who did the Cowboys close their season against last year? Do you remember?
Bingo.
Do you remember, bro?
Yeah.
Who was it?
These Commanders.
Do you remember the score?
26
What were they
to 6.
playing?
Do you remember Dak? How many yards Dak had?
Dak played, Tony Pollard played, CeeDee
What
Lamb
were
played.
they-
Dallas
Dak
went in
had
there trying to win.
128 yards that game. He played almost the whole game.
No, they went trying to win.
What did they? I'm just curious. What I'm asking
They're out there, dude.
What I'm asking you
So they're
is,
out there and not trying is a bigger indictment.
What I'm saying is, if you go into a game and if you win, you're the 5 seed, and if you lose, you're the 5 seed. Which is what Cowboys were last year. It is human nature to be thinking about what's coming next. It is, I think, smart coaching to have the most vanilla game plan possible, not put anything on tape. We all agree on this front that if the Niners this week, for instance, because they're saying they're going to play their guys, not McCaffrey, if they go out this week and they look uninspired and bad, no one is going to say, that the Niners are in real trouble because they are locked into where they are. I think we all agree on that.
If Brock Purdy goes 14 for 37 for 128 yards, he's going to hear it from you on Monday morning.
How did Dak do the following week after what you're talking about with Washington last year? He had the best playoff game of his career.
Because he rested in week 18.
What do you mean?
Well, he was hanging out.
Okay, all right.
Rested
Listen,
on the field.
Brew, do you agree with me? The Cowboys are not on upset alert. I don't even know what we're talking about.
Look, I expect the Cowboys to win. I do think.
Thank you.
The 0% chance, I don't agree with you on that. I do think they're on upset alert.
5%?
No, look. It's a division game, which that matters. If you're Washington, This is your last game of the season. So you're like, I mean, look, we know they probably want to get on vacation and all that, but your last game, you're like, we're hyped about it. And we can not ruin Dallas's season, but mess it up.
Yeah.
And what happened last year? You are right.
Good.
You are right in that they weren't good last year. They were better.
They were better than they're gonna have the second
but
pick
they
in the draft.
weren't good. They weren't good last year. And you are right that Dallas has more incentive this year than they did.
It's not
give
even
you that.
close.
But it did happen last year.
Thank you.
And Dallas, what is that? Look, Nick, I do make these rules, but they are good rules. On the road, Dallas is what, Wilds?
We don't know.
They're 3-5.
Oh, I thought you wanted a quarter.
They're a tomato can.
Oh,
On the road, look, I won't say they're close to a tomato
can adjacent.
That's a great way. The tomato can adjacent. They lost to Arizona, and it wasn't even close. Like, I know you're going to say the next thing is the Eagles just like, at least the Eagles played them close. Dallas lost by 2 touchdowns to Arizona on the road. Dallas was bludgeoned by not only the Niners, but the Bills on the road. Dallas edged a hapless Chargers team on the road. And Dallas lost to the the Dolphins in Miami on the road.
What are their other?
They're the only good team to lose to Miami this year.
Okay,
so I'm just saying on the road, they're vulnerable. So I think they'll win, but 0% chance is no.
Guys, does no one watch Washington with Sam Howell? They've lost 7 straight.
But we watched Dallas on the road, too.
Guys, this is
the Chargers almost beat them.
To Nick's credit, Sam Howell's last few game yards, 169, 56, 102, 127, 300. Against the Cowboys.
What was the score of that game, Wilds? Do you know?
45-10.
45-10. What are you talking about?
Well, Sam Howell's still out there.